All right, all right, all right. Good people. Welcome back to the Counselor's Corner. We are back. Well, I am back for another one right before Turkey Day. Another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. At this moment, don't have anyone joining me. So you know what that means. This might be a quick, brief show because I ain't about to talk you out of death. Joining me, well, I don't have nobody joining me. If you're interested in joining the panel for one of our hot, fiery discussions, get at us. Recap from Monday's broadcast. Is falling in love with a narcissist such a bad idea? The truth of the matter is, most people don't know that the person they fell in love with was a narcissist or is a narcissist, like any other situation. But there is something he or she did that made you feel strongly about that person. But we're not going to go, we covered that last week, so I'm going to move along. Okay, on to the next topic, which is tonight, November 21st. The topic of discussion will be, do you have daddy issues? Yeah, I said it. Do you have daddy issues? This is mainly for women, but it's for men too. It can be. And that depends on how the conversation picks up and how it veers off. Here are a few signs you only like to date older men and you're afraid of being alone. Now it goes deeper than that. We will go much deeper tonight. Uh, Talking point number two: why is it okay for women to friend zone men, but not okay for men to sex zone women? Maybe because she's not sure what kind of guy you are yet, or she might be liking someone else. Or, ladies, if you have been sex zoned because there is no attraction other than sex and it's free sex without the commitment. Well, folks, this should be another good one. Please like and share our video and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So what's going on, good people? We back for another one. Not sure where everybody is at, but the show must go on. Um, and for me, any housekeeping thing, nothing much. Just looking forward to the break. Well needed. This last couple weeks been high octane, a lot going on. Um, just usually during this time of the year, holiday season, the kids get extra squirrely and just some of them for different reasons. But it's usually a tough time. So then we start getting new enrollments. So those people come in and the students that's already there, got to mark their territory. So now you got a new young lady coming in or a man or young soldier. So it's just constant battling. But like I said, well needed. Wednesday, that half a day can't come soon enough. But pretty much that's all I have. Nothing. Me sometimes thoughts pop up after the fact. Let's see. So, do you have daddy issues? Mm, Interesting subject, and this kind of came off from Anita's comment last week, where she said that that's kind of a rude statement if someone asks somebody like, "Do you got daddy issues?" Well, I guess it's whoever receiving the information because oftentimes guys are asked, you got mommy issues and things of that nature. So truth of the matter is, people do have these issues. They'll never admit it, but they're out there. And we're going to dive right into one, dating older men. Now, some people may come with the angle of, I just like mature men. Guys my age are, yeah, immature. They don't have anything on their mind. So you may say, you got daddy issues. You may want someone. I'm not saying your dad's age, but then again, shit, some of you might. And you may look at that as security, comfort, and and I guess it depends on also the nature of your relationship that you had with your dad. Say, for example, if you had a strong relationship and then suddenly he passed away, and you've been trying to fill that void, and you may start seeking out someone. And a lot of times they say women choose men that remind them of their father, good, bad, or indifferent. So you may be someone that's who you date, and you know, it's multiple reasons. Like I said, the security factor, um, uh, maybe the sake of structure, someone who is kind of on top of their game and less worries for you. So you know, that's one of the points. Uh, like I said, gonna be real brief because actually I got some other things I have to do tonight, and that's another thing about um, in the schoolhouse. Everybody's always rushing to get some things done before the break, and it just brings unnecessary pressure. So I had a couple things that I have to get done in the next couple days. That's kind of pressing. Uh, let's see. Constantly needing reinsurance. You don't have the confidence. You don't have confidence. You need someone constantly to tell you, you gorgeous, baby. You can do it. You look nice in that. No, you're not fat. Or no, you're not too skinny. Your body looks perfect. You'll be okay at your job. You need that constant reinsurance. And probably again, depending on the nature of your relationship, you may have always had that from your father, or you desired it and you never got it. So um, you know, that could bring upon issues when you're in a relationship with someone. You know, he's thinking, because you know how sometimes in relationships, somebody come in, as we often talk about on here, sending um, your best representative, and then it comes to find out, like, man, like she has a lot of insecurities, a lot of daddy issues that some men may feel like they're constantly trying to address that and kind of get you on track, get your thoughts right, build up your confidence, because naturally that's what mom and dad is supposed to do throughout your you know, your lifespan development. All right, where y'all at, people? Where y'all at? Because you know what's gonna happen. Y'all gonna pop on here. You're like, damn, he did a quick show, and then before the show, damn, I guess I didn't did so many recordings that this show, I don't. It may not even be recording, or once I get off of it, I got to clear up space because I guess I reached my amount of shows, which whatever. I'll figure that out. All right. Uh, let's see. Being jealous or territorial. You know how that goes too. with the daddy issues, because if you daddy's little girl or you the apple of his eye, you don't want nobody near him. Nobody, as a youngster, nobody could sit on his lap. It could be a relative of yours. And, as little kids, they would always say, "That's my daddy. That's my daddy," or whatever the case is. So, in a relationship, those issues may come to the forefront because now y'all at a function, and it could be a coworker just laughing and giggling with him, or an old friend he grew up with. You looking like, "That's my man. That's my man." And you territorial. And don't get me wrong, man, this could have been a reverse factor too, to have a show. You got mommy issues, and I'm sure that may be the talking point next week. Marcia said, "I can honestly say that I am a dad's girl, even though he's no longer with me. I sometimes wish I could have found some of the special qualities he had in my late husband, but as the saying goes, you live and learn." Yeah, and I guess what that is, sometimes you may have to strategically go about trying to find someone with those qualities. But when you're in the heat of the moment, or dating, sometimes that stuff, it just end up being, it end up being what it is. And as you said, uh, life goes on. You live and learn, and life goes on. And but then you start thinking and processing after the fact that, man, if he would have did this like my dad, or he'd have been more like this my dad, we'd have definitely, everything would have been good. But then again, some dads ain't what they make themselves out to be. And there's some dads, there's some moms who out there trying to chase the silver bullet, or trying to be the best they can be, as if they're going to get an award or something. But again, I often tell people, there's no parenting awards or anything like that, because you can be doing a perceived good job as you think, and all it takes is a certain situation. It could be at the middle school level, high school level, college level, and things turn for the worse. So I always say, just do the best that you can, and stop looking for public praise or whatever the case is, because that shit doesn't mean anything most of the time, because typically people don't care. They really don't. You have your handful that you're close and they understand, but a lot of people, again, like to go viral with every little thing, like they're looking for a medal. And I'm not going to veer off on that subject matter, but back to, the jealousy and the being territorial. So that happens. That happens a lot. So, um, just beware. And that could be a sign, like, listen, like, everything I do, or I can't talk to anyone, or maybe in the middle of a conversation, they got to come cling on to you and all this stuff, kind of letting people know, I'm his. He belongs to me. That's my guy. That's my dad. That's my daddy. Those daddy issues. Uh, Fearful of being alone. And we had talked, maybe a month and a half ago, about the attachment theories, and like avoidance, disorganized, um, security, and what's the other one? I always forget one. Uh, Security, avoidance, uh, like fearful attachment. And one of the attachments, fearful attachments, that you may feel like fearful of being alone, because, again, your father left, he's not around, he passed away, or you witness him and your mom go at it all the time. So now you think every time you and your man gets into an argument, and he may just leave to say, yo, let me get out of here. Let me go take a ride. Let me go over to my buddy house. Let me go down to the to a little spot, have me a drink or something to diffuse the situation. Now you blowing up his phone, like, where you at? Are you coming back home? And your thoughts are preoccupied with that, as if you got a grave concern that he may not return. So it could be anything. Like, I think I used the example. I think in the promo leading up to this, that he goes out of town and he travels a lot on his job, and you knew that when you got with him. But then all of a sudden, it's always an issue, or you starting up an argument prior to him going, and he's going, and he has nice position. He has to do presentations and things of that nature, and he needs to be on point. Can't You can't transfer those issues onto him like that, because if that's his role and that's his position, he need to have a nice, good headspace. Good headspace. It's nothing worse than going through uh, drama and chaos and all that stuff when you in the forefront of people, because it plays on you. And we always make parallels to sports, even and you'll see, like, when the bright lights is on with certain athletes, and something breaks through the media that they're having problems, or somehow relationship problems, it affects the way they play. A lot of stuff is mental. And that would be the same thing if it was a doctor and nurse or something. If they're rattled that day, they're not going to perform their best. Teachers, or whatever the case is. So sometimes those are serious issues. Fearful of being alone, fearful that they're going to leave you, or they're going to find something better. So just wanted to drop a few points. Let me check my thing to see if I got any messages. Because this show would have been a whole lot better with more different opinions, other than mine. But like I said, sometimes it's like that. You just got to keep rolling. And hey, sometimes I'm with the ending my night early, because, again, like I said, as we get closer to the break, tomorrow's probably going to be a doozy, because we know Wednesday is only half a day. All right, what's the next? The next talking point dealt with why does it seem like women can friend zone men, but men cannot sex zone women? Y'all here in the chat? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about it. Friend zone. And we've talked about this on numerous shows, and my stance. I don't do demotions. I don't do demotions. So I am not going to be, we're going to be together. Then, you hit me with, I think we could just be friends. Friends. How? In what way? Maybe down the road, some years, but not right away. Oh, I'm not about to just be hanging out with you, and again, you're not about to be talking about your next love interest with me. So I don't, and I know people, they, when I always gave my stance, they will say, well, sometimes you're just better friends than you are in a relationship. Well, I just don't. I think that's setting people up for heartache and pain when you get demoted like that and you're still front and center in that person's life. Because people get loose. Then they start, oh, yeah, I'm interested in this guy. Then you start thinking, like, damn, oh, damn, that's that dude who was all up in her face when we were out. And all types of things start going through. So, me, we just got to go our separate ways. We got to go our separate ways. Let me see what Naomi says. She says sex zone can be complicated. Yeah, it can, and we gonna dive into that as well. But the friend zone thing, friends with benefits. Did y'all know that 40% of women compared to 53% of men have had friends with benefits throughout their their time as far as relationships, 40% and 53%. So it's out there. People do it. A lot of people understand that, hey, keep it quiet, don't put our stuff out there. And sometimes those same relationships go on for years. Now, why they never made it work? It could be different. It could be for different reasons. It could be for different reasons. And I'm sure those two individuals probably know, but if they're not complaining or they're okay with it, then it's fine. But like someone had said when I had put out a post about this subject matter the other day, they said, I guess it's the deceiving part of not knowing or whatever the case, and that's not fair. So we understand that as well. But I think in many of these situations, when you talk about friend zoning and friends with benefits, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be some emotion involved. It's going to be some emotion involved by one of the parties. Let's see. Let me see. Just trying to think. Yeah. So that and there's multiple reasons why women may put you in the friend zone. Amy said it could be amazing, exciting, and euphoric if they're on the same page, and that's the key. The connection. I think I did a post about that too, and it was something um, like the best chemistry is sort of the best chemistry is that that energy plus respect leads to attraction. And we're saying the definition of attraction is like that sexual energy plus chemistry plus plus respect leads to attraction, and that's true. And I guess that's what keep the flame going when you have that. You have great chemistry. Uh, you respect each other in that positive energy. That could be an amazing thing. But once the respect is gone, and once the respect is gone, that's going to play a factor in the chemistry, and the energy is going to become toxic. So that attraction could die down. That's why that saying people say, oh, your attitude and your ways it make you look ugly. It makes you ugly, and people start becoming ugly to you, or when when you see them, you just want to like bite your lip because you can't stand their ugly ways, and it plays on you. So that's real far as attraction. It doesn't matter how fine you think you are or whatever the case is. If your ways are constantly ugly and nasty, somebody else may be interested in you until they get a dosage of that, and then they'll wake up and say, "Man, the hell with that shit. The hell with it." So that's real. That is real. So again, let me talk about the reasons why some of you dudes get friend zone. Some guys like to be in that space. You know why? Because they know they personnel, and they may feel like, yeah, I know how she is. She friend zone me, but she gonna need me for something. Oh, she's into this guy right now. She always get her heart broken, and she always put out more energy than they're willing to put out. And I'm gonna be right there to pick her up and sweep her off her feet, and I might get lucky. Well, if he's been down that road with her, he very well may get lucky. If he's still trying to get in with her and she put it on the table, I don't think me and you, I'm just not attracted to you like that. I just don't think I don't, I don't look at you like that, and we should just be friends. Well, some guys, like, again, they'll take that role. They'll settle for it. I just, I just say for myself as a guy, and if I had intentions on trying to get with that young lady, I don't want to be that person around if I'm attracted to the person and just hanging out. And I know people say, "Oh, David, you don't have any female friends?" Yeah, I do, but it's from a distance. It's from a distance because, again, I always say I don't. Far as communication, I probably don't make the greatest friend because I'm not gonna spend hours talking to someone over and over. When a friend needs, don't get me wrong, from time to time, but I'm just not built like that because I deal with kid issues all day, every day. So after work, I just prefer some winding down time. And if I find that it's somebody that's constantly browbeating you down with, and most of the time, don't get me wrong here. If it's someone who's typically solid, they're typically solid, and they're going through something, and I'm aware of that, like, man, they're a little off. I'll give them that time. I'll give them that time. But if it's a person with the same old shit every day, all day, every year, nah. Now I might give you a little bit. I might listen, but eventually, I'm gonna come back with something slick or propose a question like, okay, now that you told me all that, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And if they're still at the point of, well, I don't know, I haven't thought about it yet, but they've been putting this presenting problem out there for months, years. I don't have that. I can't do it. J Rob was good. I don't. I'm just not going to do that. So call it what you want, but that's real. So again, like some guys like to be put, they like to be in that role because they're looking to be that person that's gonna pick up the pieces. But uh not much, man. Just maintaining. I had to get out. I popped in a minute for the trials, but then I had to get out. I had to go to PT, work on them, work on these shoulders. So when I come and get them boys to work bully ball, I'll be all right. Um, but let's talk about some of the points on why you get friend zone. Because some guys, y'all get friend zone all the damn time, and that's an issue too. Oh no, you may look at it as you make a good friend. You make a good friend. Sometimes she's just not sure what kind of guy you are. So meanwhile, she putting you in the friend zone because she's still collecting data and still trying to figure out. what kind of person you are. So in that case, yeah, but you know, you can roll with that. You can roll with it, but I guess also how long are you willing to wait? And I often tell you ladies, a lot of men travel the path of least resistance. So you got him in this friend zone, and y'all whining and dining, hanging out. You know, you're inviting him over to you know, watch Netflix, and sometimes falling asleep on his shoulder, but then nothing pops off. You don't think you don't think that this other lady who's cooking and uh, maybe not as attractive as you or whatever the case is, but putting out, and he like, man, I'm getting treated like a king over here. He gonna travel that path. He's gonna travel that path. And now meanwhile, she maybe just put in the sex zone for him. She may be okay with it. She may be okay with it. So it's a lot of different layers to this. Uh, and again, like I said before, she might be liking someone else, and I think that's the worst thing too. When you like someone and you're trying to impress them, but they keep talking about somebody else. They keep talking about Melvin, and you're like, Melvin, ain't Melvin that dude that freaking barely work or whatever the case is? Something about Melvin she like. Probably because he don't give a damn. He do what he want. He says what he wants. He got this chip on his shoulder. Uh, he's not a yes man. And he'll tell her, hell no, I ain't doing that. Something about that she likes. Meanwhile, you're the good guy. You're the good guy. And you just sitting back. But she keep talking about Melvin. Claire said most men I friend zone were because they didn't know how to be the leader in a relationship. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to step it up. And some guys, you're right there. You're right there, but you don't know how to seal the deal, and you get left uh, in a friend zone. It'll be just like somebody at a workplace. You got the skills, but and this you may stay in the same position. And I ain't talking about myself because I choose to stay in a position, but some people are comfortable in certain positions. But I think relationship wise, eventually you want it to grow or you want it to evolve, especially if you like the person. But like Claire said, you if you haven't shown no leadership skills, then you may stay stagnant. She says she can't be the alpha. LOL. Should tell that to a lot of other people who wants to be the alphas. All right. Uh, Another thing is you are too familiar with her. Y'all might have been someone that grew up together or, went to college, high school together, but you like, damn, man, like I always liked her, but I never told her because I was in a relationship, she was in a relationship, uh, or you were married, she was married, now you both are single, and you want to get at her. You want to say something. And y'all share different things. And you know how women's like, that's awkward. That's awkward. I used to tell him this or that. Now he wants a relationship with me. I can't do it. He's just too familiar. He knows too much about me. He knows too much. He knows how I am. And sometimes that could be a deal breaker on both sides. Because as a man, you could have a woman that's been like your home girl, and you pretty much told her a lot of your dirt, a lot of things you have did, and she just would sit back there looking cute as ever, smile like, I told you she was gonna be like that. I told you that that woman she wasn't good for you, and you sharing things, and even you coming to her in a state when you're hurt, and she's been there for you. But now, y'all might be trying to make a move, but y'all realize we know too much about each other, which also we say that married couples they should be your best friend and stuff. You should know everything. It should be an open book. So I think it's certain things that people kind of should may need to keep to themselves in a certain case, but it depends on what it is. Claire said he knows me completely. He knows me completely. Let's try it. Okay. Okay. So you're saying he knows you completely, but irregardless of the fact, hey, I'm gonna give him a shot at the title and see what he's gonna do because he should know how to counter because he knows how you handle certain situations. So if he was a student of the game and he was listening, he'll know probably what to do and not to do. So that you could take that approach as well. She said, right. John from America said, put him on. Yeah. So you see how this works. It just depends. There's no cookie cutter approach, and there's no right or wrong way to handle it. It depends on the individual. And sometimes she might just be too busy. She got a lot going on. She has a lot going on. Uh, demanding job. Um, she has children. Um, and it really doesn't matter the age. They could be young or they could be teenagers, which require a lot of time running around different events and stuff. So she barely has that time. And you're trying to convince her like, hey, like, damn, when you gonna have some adult time? You can't do it. You got to have some time for yourself. You can't put everything into work and into your kids. Like, when is it gonna be time for you? And you may be ready to make that move, but essentially, I guess she's gonna have to. You have to make it worth her while, or she's gonna have to kind of if she caves in to the idea, but her schedule may be her schedule. Now, it's a different thing if she's able to have support, then, you know, the dad is still in their life. He's able to, he gets them, he picks them up from their events, or, you have an aunt or uncle or grandparents. Some women don't have anyone at all, and it's just them. So that's going to be a difficult battle. And you have to have perceptual awareness to realize, like, I've been around a few times and it's like, man, she's running around crazy, got so much going on. And now you want to put your personal feelings out there, setting yourself up for heartache and pain because unless somebody comes from nowhere to help her out, they you know her work is going to be her work, and her children going to be her children, and they still going to have the same demands. And let your ass try to take away their attention, then that's another battle you going to have to fight. So Claire said you need to make plans with me in advance. So how far in advance? 3 days? Because it was this book I was reading. I mentioned it before. It's called The Rules Girls by their last name was Fine and Schneider, and they talked about you should make a date. If it's a Friday date or Saturday date, a man needs to ask you like 3 days in advance. But then, contrary to that, some women say, "Shit, I'm always ready. Let me know. You can let me know that morning of." So I guess for a guy psychic, if he can call you and you ready to rock and roll and go out, he knows that he can put you on the back burner. You might be in that rotation, like you ain't the sixth man. You like the ninth, tenth. You like third or fourth option. Like, man, I ain't trying to be alone tonight, but I'm really trying to see this person, but I know I can always count on Gail. I can call her 2, 3 hours and she'll be ready to roll. See how that works too. But a woman with importance and with a schedule, you got to get in where you fit in, and so you may have to ask 2, 3 days in advance. John from America said, just from my own relationships and dealings with women, normally there are the ones who like to be more spontaneous and don't like to follow a schedule or a regiment. Claire said, an available man is not a successful man. He should be busy. Yeah, that is true too. That's true too. And I like that because if his ass always asking you, hey, let's do this, let's do that, you're gonna start thinking, like, damn, you know, you don't have a hobby, uh, you don't have something that that you do, like, I don't know, workout, belong to a bowling team, something, if you're always available. Um, that's another thing. And like I said, sometimes you got to be a no man. You can have a woman say, "Hey, what you doing?" I was thinking about the kids. I don't have them this weekend. What are you doing? Maybe we can hook up and hang out. And every time you ask, like, okay, okay. Yeah, eventually you will stay in that friend zone. Sometimes you're like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. You got to keep. You may have to keep her guessing. Like, what is ass got? What do you got going on? What do you got to do? But if they know that you're a busy man and you're always into something, they'll value your time more. And and that's the same thing, vice versa as well. Claire said a job, LOL. Like he ain't got no job, but he constantly asking you to go out. Um, so that was that. And then sometimes it's not about you. She's dealing with her own stuff. Sometimes, like I said, people have a lot going on at work, kids, mother's not in the greatest health, uh, grandmother going through it, and they just don't want to proceed on in a relationship. They don't have it to do. They don't have their emotions is all over the place and it's spread it real thin between so many people. And here you go, wanting attention and always available. And sometimes you get your feelings hurt like that too, because you're like, damn, like what's wrong with me? Like I always ask her, it's always something. But then again, remember I said a lot of guys travel the path of least resistance. So some guys will say, hey, you know what? The hell with that. I ain't gonna worry about it. And then that'll occupy your schedule. Then maybe she will come around and you're like, I kind of got this going on, or I got this going on. So it's crazy. And I don't mean to put these concepts out there like it's a game or anything, but sometimes that's real. Like your availability and having something to do, people will value they'll value your time more if they know you're really about that. Claire says sometimes you gotta lie and say, "Oh, I already have plans. Maybe next time," and I ain't doing nothing. My busy is doing my nails and watching football. So if that's the or watching, I think you meant football, unless it's something else. I don't know. It'd be all types of little acronyms and words that I don't even know sometimes, but if you're watching football, why he can't come watch you with you? Why he can't come through? Why he can't come through with nice cold ones or whatever you drink and y'all sit back and watch football together? Then again, he might not even watch sports. And the last thing on this, because she generally wants to be just friends, just want to be friends, is not going. Maybe she say, "I'm done. I'm out of the game. I'm out of this relationship or this dating thing for a while. I'm gonna give myself a couple years to work on myself and to do this because I just got out of a rocky one, and I'm taking this time." Now, if you want to be that person, say, "Oh, she's worth it. I'm gonna be her friend. I'm gonna do whatever I got to do. Whatever. She the one. She the one." I don't know. You better than me, man. You better than me for sure. Uh, Claire said, "Because you got to leave him wanting more sometimes." Yeah. And again, we talked about it before. Sometimes it's these little tests. Wanting somebody to want more. Dot, can't wait to see you. It's been 2, 3 days, week, 2 weeks. Then y'all get together. It's a different vibe, different chemistry because she doesn't know when the next time she'll see you again or vice versa. Everybody, please like and share the video. Get those likes up. John from America said, "Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And well, I don't have sex anyways. I don't know if a girl wants to talk to me." So are you saying because you already put it out there, John, that you don't have sex, that they're not going to want to talk to you? Interesting. Ladies, chime in on that one. If you say yeah all the time, it gets boring. You create the one, the one of the time together. Give them a chance to miss you. Yeah, that kind of and I always use parallels to some of the things that the elderly or my grandmother, grandfather said, mother, whoever. My mother gonna say, "Don't call me the elderly," but she would say, "Don't wear out your welcome. Don't wear out your welcome. Don't keep going over there. Give them a chance to invite you over. Give them a chance to invite you over. Don't keep going over there. Make somebody miss you." And now to look at it in this context, kind of, I could see where I could see the power in that statement. Not wearing out your welcome. And boy, people will wear the hell out their welcome just constantly, constantly. And this was jewels that was being dropped on us as kids. Don't go over there today. Don't go over there today. Stay from over there. Get them opportunity. Did you go over there or did they come get you? I went over there. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. Give it a rest. Uh, Claire said exactly. Yes. John said, but not if she's over there talking to all these other guys, then I'm just like, why don't you talk to me? They they touch those other guys. Mm. I don't mind if a girl just wants to talk to me and have sex with me. Okay, okay. But not if she's over there talking, so I had missed that point. Naomi said, I don't know about that, John. Closed mouths don't get fed. This is true. Sometimes you got to put it out there. You may not be a forward person or to come out and say it, but you're gonna have to give off some type of body language or something. Because remember, we said the 738-55 rule. 7% is actually the words that's spoken. 38% is like the tone, and 55% is like the body language. You're gonna have to give off something that she may say, "He want me." Oh, I already know it. He did something. it's something. And in the same way with guys pick up on things like, oh yeah, now I can make this move. John said, I'm saying I'd rather a girl just talk to me and not want to have sex with me unless they're talking to these other guys, then I'm just like, go talk to them. I don't want to talk to you. So you saying if she's out there talking to multiple people, you don't have no interest because eventually you might think, shit, she been talking to them. She might be the type. She might be a little loose, or she could just be social. But I don't know. I don't know too many men who wants a damn social butterfly that's always got to be in everybody's face and all of that stuff. So it's the way you got to conduct yourself different. If you're interested in someone, you conduct yourself different. Like you said, haha, probably, or Claire. Seems to me you have some weird vibe if they talking to everyone else. Said if it's that type of setting, talking socially is expected. John said, I'd rather somebody just naturally be attracted to me than try to do a thing to attract a mate. Okay, okay. So that was kind of like why guys get friend zoned. Uh, Let me dive into this part. Why do women partake in friends with benefits? Sometimes women may say, "Man, I just need this little jump off. I just this it's my little maintenance man or whatever you want to call it in this day and age." And they may be okay with that. J. Rob said it's rough out there. Yes, indeed, it is. It is. John said because it's fun. So yeah, some of it may be fun. So you got to think about all the things we just said, but then that person may just have this one person that okay, we friends, and now I got a little scratch. So it's time somebody to I got an itch, so somebody got to scratch this itch, and whoever that person may be. So so, but some of the reasons could be they have been taken in by so many liars. They reward men for honesty. They may reward the man for being honest and saying, "Look, I don't want anything like that. I've been through hell and back. The last couple relationships I had. Listen, I just want to have a good time. Want to chill. I want to laugh. I want to have grown adult conversation. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens, but I'm not pushing no relationship." And they may tell you that off the muscle. Some women may say, okay, I'm attracted to him. He's been about his business. And then things start happening and they may continue to happen. But some of that could have came from being rewarded because everybody else lied about the situation and really wanted to be friend zone or friends with benefits, but they never came out and put it out there like the other guy. But usually one of the other is going to catch the feels. Uh, I know some people just tired of failing romantically and just rather not deal with the extra. John said, I remember I gave this lady her phone back and she wanted to have sex with me because of that. I was like, I'm fine, thanks. Then she gave me $20. John, who the hell are these people you talking to and you gave her phone back? Or what were you doing with her phone? Did you find it? Oh, she lost it at the AT&T Center. So she lost it, you found it, and she wanted to have sex with you. Whew. Where you at again? Must be like some little, well, there's freaks everywhere. All right. So that was one. Dealing with too many liars. Meet this honest guy. He ended up getting the benefits. Two, they admire a man's perceived confidence. Some women have said it, and they have said it in the counselor's corner in this different platform. Like, if that's what you want, just say it, because I want the same thing. I just wanted to see where you gonna say it. So just be honest. And you have some guys that's straightforward like that, and hey, he ended up getting that benefit package. John said, "I'm in San Antonio working at the AT&T Center. That's kind of like a place where people go to watch basketball games, and singers or bands come from out of town." Okay, is that AT&T Center? Is that where the San Antonio Spurs and stuff? Is that where they play? Uh, so again, some women may look at that as perceived confidence. 3, competing with other women for a commitment. Some women may partake in it, in the friends with benefits, because they know that you deal with other women, but they think their stuff is golden, and that eventually they'll get you to commit. So they're not going to have, even though people may say, well, that's nasty if he's sleeping around with, and it may not be 3, 4, 5, 6 people. It may be just one other person. Who knows? Who knows? And they say, well, shit, I really want to be with him, but if he over there and she traveling the path, he traveling the path of least resistance with her, it may cause this one to partake in it. I know, people, it's nasty. The hell with that. Some of you gonna say, I'd rather just deal with somebody. I don't want to share my man with anyone, or my friend with benefits with anyone. But a lot of people, they just, that's cap. They be talking, but they end up doing whatever. So that could be a thing. That competitive nature that may drive you to, like, hey, I'm not backing off, so why should I back off? And see who winner takes all. Some women are only interested in casual sex. But again, I'm sure that particular person is someone that they kind of, I don't know, sometimes it's just people just have a physical attraction, and people end up falling into that role. But then again, sometimes it's like friendships over the years that led to some intimacy, and then you just maintained it. Uh, John said, "Women." Claire said, "But listen, though, friends with benefits are still a relationship. People just try to play it down. Yeah, anything's a relationship. Any interaction, it's a relationship. When you have two people come together, it's a relationship. It may not be, and you're right. A lot of times people try to downplay it, or they think that, oh, I'm in a relationship with it. They think that, it always mean monogamous relationship or committed relationship. Anything is a relationship. Some people are too insecure to put it on the table, so there's no title to the relationship. Doesn't mean it's not a relationship. John said, exactly. This interaction that we're having over the internet is the phone of a relationship. I mean, anything. Some people have online relationships. Any interaction between one or two people, 3, 4, it's a relationship. It's relationship building, or sometimes lack of a relationship, but it's still building relationships, good, bad, or indifferent. Number 5, they're emotionally unavailable and are drawn to men who are the same. They don't have no emotions. I mean, they have emotions, but they're not about to, bring the sweeter side of emotions, give up their heart to anyone. I heard women say, listen, I'm like a guy. I am not a good person to be in a relationship right now. I will end up breaking your heart or whatever the case is because they're at that point and it may be stuff they endured over the years. So they're emotionally unavailable, but yet they may be drawn to men that's emotionally unavailable. So you got two people that's emotionally unavailable. They're just maybe having a time of their life because but then again, like Claire said, somebody gonna catch feelings eventually. Somebody's gonna start liking someone more than the other one, and it may start off that way, but I'm sure things are gonna take a turn. Claire said, "Good point. Wall self-damaging but true." John said, "That's me." So again, it's it's different things, and then what I found interested when when guys pretty much friends with benefits or whatever. But some guys, women just put in the sex zone. They might not even consider these women their actual friends like that. They may never been out with that person, or they only come around when it's convenient for them. Um, and I forgot somebody on TikTok I had did my promo and they had said, men do that and it's so dehumanizing. And I don't think I like that word because it sounded like savage like. And sometimes, and I know many people think, well, when they do that, it's probably some type of manipulation. But sometimes women, they, and you may look at it as a self-esteem issue or whatever the case is, but sometimes they go for that. But I guess shame on the guy. I don't know, but to say it's dehumanizing, I just think that word was a little. I didn't like it. It was too harsh sounding. Naomi said, then the cycle comes out. I don't feel that way because the feelings could be mutual. So you have those guys, and I guess people say, okay, she's good enough to sleep with, so you must have some type of attraction. But sometimes in those cases, that may be the third or fourth. That may be like the backup plan, the backup to the backup to the backup plan. And if he doesn't never have to do anything like take her out or do anything and she's okay with him coming through. Now, I don't know what she potentially looks like or whatever the case is. We all can probably paint a picture in our head, but sometimes it could be a fine ass woman that's just it. That's just what happens. Claire said, "Yeah, sometimes people say we're friends with benefits, and they aren't even friends. It's just sex." Naomi said, "But she's not wifey material. Yeah, she's not. And sometimes friends with benefits, they may not be considered. They be like, okay, we're friends, but she definitely ain't the one I'm trying to marry." And but then again, not everybody marry the right person anyway, and you think that person is this or that, and so that's what make relationships so damn complicated in itself. It's just there's no perfect situations, and when people act like they have perfect situations, I kind of say they full of crap. That's my thought process. Sometimes a nut is a nut, but if he says that, he ain't gonna get it. Yeah, in some cases he'll still get it. He might not get it all the time, but he may get it a great deal of the time. Especially if he I mean if that person thinks she holds the trump card and like, oh, he gonna come over here at least 2-3 times a week, then she will start probably positioning herself to say no. I'm busy. But if he only does it sparingly and he's not coming around like that, she may desire to see him, but she really doesn't press the issue for whatever reason. I don't know. Ladies, y'all tell me. I mean, maybe y'all never, may have not been in that position. You may know someone who has been in that position, and what's their driving force that makes them uh, be put in the sex zone. Then, again, sometimes it's chemistry or on one person's end. Uh, and sometimes people just be weak for certain individuals. Uh, so let me see what else. What else? Yeah, and again, like so, I think Naomi said, the marriage material thing. Like some guys just, it's just about, it's about sex or convenience for him. Uh, and I don't know if too many people are trying to dehumanize um, women. Certainly, there's manipulation that probably plays a part in it, but well, people. I guess people on TikTok could be harsh with what they come with, but that's why I like trying to put these different scenarios out on different platforms because you get different responses. Sexual tension can be intoxicating. Yeah, it can be, especially between two people that hey, they go full throttle, and sometimes is what both of them need, and they're okay with that, and it may not happen on a regular basis. And when it does, it may last them for a while, and they may say, "Oh, I'm good for a while." Uh, Guys don't want to get married. That's not their goal in life. They do it because they love someone and want to make them happy. They don't do it to make themselves happy. Mm, say that. Say that. That may have a great deal of truth because a lot of guys say, "What benefit is it for me to marry? What am I getting out of it?" But women may say, "You got somebody that's going to be reliable." But then we had this conversation about modern women and independent women. So it's just like whew, too much going on. Too much going on. Comment of the day, LOL. What's the comment of the day? About the marriage thing that you put up? Because I might have to go back and look at that, and I might have to drop that in the counselor's corner because that might light some fires. I love to stir the pot. Okay, yeah, that is. I want to see if I could because I don't know. Like I said, this video may not record, so I'm gonna have to um might have to I'll remember it. But that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to cover. The conversation would have been different if if it was a panel tonight, but I wanted to I'm the type of, hey, I'm gonna show up. If I put it out there and been promoting and talking about it, I'm gonna show face. So uh but I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, and I think we did well. John says, "Sorry guys, I got here late." No, I think you were on time. I seen you. You were one of the first ones. You had made a comment, but uh, came on at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I think we did well for at least an hour long conversation. And like I said, it would have looked different if it would have been multiple. But we know how it could get here with these conversations. Especially the daddy issues and stuff like that. But I'm gonna come back next week with the guys with the mommy issues and things like that. So I think that's gonna bring a different element, and who knows, we may have some more people on here. So people stay tuned for that. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on TikTok, the controversial counselor David Glover. Instagram, David Glover .7712. Facebook, join the Counselors Corner group in Facebook. So I try to connect everything in different platforms, and it's been making a little growth, I think the more you put out stuff, the more it grows. So I'm just trying to keep that energy going. Claire said, Herbert be hogging the mic, LOL. Yeah, I didn't heard that one before, and I'm the more quiet, reserved one, so I kind of listen, and then I'll kind of chime in and get my stuff off. But I always say I'm like a counter puncher. I like to feed off and see what other people got to say. Then I kind of sit back and may dissect something from my perspective. But hey, this still was a good discussion. And Claire, are you on Facebook? Because you need to drop me that comment, because I don't know, once I get off this, I don't if you are, did connect with me, or you could always join my Facebook group, the Counselors Corner, and could drop it in there, because I think that was a that was a good statement. So it's the group, the Counselors Corner, on Facebook, or you can message me, and then I'll put it in there and see what sparks off from that conversation, or it may spark some women to get a little upset too, but that's okay. But other than that, gang, I don't have anything else. Stay tuned for the next broadcast. I usually give closing comments, but again, that's usually when it's a bunch of us. But I guess my closing comment for this episode would be, let's see. I think even with the daddy issue thing, and then proceeding on to the mommy issues, let's be honest, we all have issues. We all have issues. And a lot of our issues do stem from our upbringing. But like I always say, it's what you do with those issues over the years. If you let it defeat you and break you, then you're going to be a broken person. And you're going to bring those values and that tension or toxicity, or to a different relationship. So it's about being aware of what your issues are and trying to deal with them. Some people seek therapy. Some people just know how they keep to themselves, and they say, "Hey, I'm not harming anyone uh, if I'm, if I keep to myself." So I don't know if there's any perfect approach, but I think the main thing is self awareness, of being aware of what your issues are, your weaknesses are, and owning up to it. Owning up to it. And I think we always talk about accountability. Some people know damn well they got this going on, but they will try to put it off on you or transfer those feelings on to others and won't accept anything. And eventually it just goes on and on and on. It just builds up. So accept your daddy issues, your relationship issues, your mother issues, and be aware of those and try to make change. I mean, because if again, we know the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing, but expecting different results. So eventually, if you if you keep coming across the same issues and you're behaving the same way, then eventually, maybe it might take longer, but eventually it's going to backfire. So just be aware of what you have going on, and try not to impact others with it, because then this is where we have the dysfunctions in the household, the dysfunctions in the community, because people are not aware of their weaknesses, but yet they're projecting it on the others, and it end up being a whole bunch of people with a freaking heap of issues on the damn table that seeps out into the neighborhood, uh, filters out into the workplace, into the schoolhouse, and here you have it. And we wonder why. I was just watching the news, and they just said it was so far. Well, for years in Baltimore, we always, I think that's the measuring stick, 300 murders a year. That's a lot of damn murders. And Baltimore ain't the biggest city, but 300. And they said 90 youth have died in 2022. That's very sad and troubling. What's going on, man? You overslept?
Man, I saw the notification on my alarm volume had been turned down, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Didn't realize, yeah, mess around. I'm like, what the hell? Why did my alarm go off? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Go ahead. You were saying 300 murders uh in Baltimore for teens?
No, it's 90. 90 for
Oh shit.
youth, but a total of 300 so far, and we still got December left, and that's always been, I think, the eighth straight year we hit the 300 mark. So pretty much, damn near, damn near a murder per day, uh, almost, which that's crazy to me, especially with the youth.
That's rough. I know Niagara Falls has seen his its own spike in violent crimes, and usually you can follow a certain pattern, and and the patterns usually revolve around either economics or fatherlessness in the homes. Now, I think the rate of fatherlessness in Niagara Falls hasn't really changed much. That and the economic situation hasn't really changed. So um, I can't really fathom that kind of mayhem. Um, Granted, the population of Baltimore is much bigger than it is in Niagara Falls. I'm not sure what the population of Baltimore is, but I know in terms of minority cities, Baltimore ranks high in the nation. So I don't know. It's staggering, man. I don't know what really could be done about that. It's sad. It's tragic. Certainly preventable, but I don't know where you start. I don't know if you try and impact the economic situation first, or if you try to address the fatherlessness, or if you do a multi pronged approach. But one thing's for certain, something needs to be done.
Mm. Yeah, I think they coming up with they're talking about it, but I mean, usually the conversation is the same old stuff over and over. Oh, employ more police officers, different programs, but I always keep saying you got to get directly into the homes. You need
Yeah,
positions where, like you said, multi-tier approach where there's counselors and people that are in the homes, and some people shy away from those type of positions because they're like, I don't want to go in nobody's house. I don't want to be in nobody's house like that. But somehow, some way, somehow, it has to be someone going in there and kind of having family therapy on a week to week basis, doing activities with the kids, doing activities with the family. Some it has to be positions like that. Uh, I mean, I know they do have some agencies that does do it, but I think that needs to be like a full blown approach to to do that.
Well, this is, and I'll go back to when I ran for school board here. You don't need to actually go into the homes. The lessons need to penetrate into the homes. And what I mean by that is this: whatever is taught, and I'll use a mentoring program that we were running some time ago. Whatever you teach in the mentoring program has to be reinforced in the homes. And one of the things that I was saying is this, because they were talking about absenteeism here in Niagara Falls. If you can get the parent or the parents to accompany the kids to school, and I don't know how you necessarily get that done. There can be a couple of different ways. I won't necessarily get into it here. But if you can get the kids and the parents to go to school at the same time, hopefully, whatever it is that's being taught there at school is carried home. And the reason why I was saying that get the parents to go to school is that if the parents are going to school, that child is more than likely to go to school, because as a parent, you're not going to leave, as a responsible parent, let me preface that, you're not going to leave your child at home to destroy your home.
Now, Claire said, y'all act like the parents in the homes and the family units where this stuff happens. No, it doesn't happen. I said it seeps out into the community because you got people with dysfunctional thoughts, and they're not right. They're got a lot of trauma, and they're going out there. They don't know how to have conflict resolution, don't know how to solve things. So how do you make it better unless you can get to the homes? I mean, that may not be the ultimate, but I think it's a start. It's a start. I mean, you can see it when you work at a school, when you see a kid and then you finally see the mother or the father, and you say, well, there you have it. There, and it be to the point that the kid is embarrassed for themselves because of their parents. They're
Right.
looking at me like, oh my God, Mr. Glover, oh my God, like, mom, dad, stop, please, like, you're embarrassed, like, and
Right.
I don't care about this. And you see it and you like, oh, now I get it. Now I get it.
Mhm.
So there's a direct correlation to it.
Yeah, there really is, and he's seen it. I certainly have seen it, and usually you can trace back through the kid to the parent. If that parent had issues in the school district, then more than likely that child will probably have some issues in the school district, and it's not necessarily behavioral. What a lot of people think is that the kid's problem is behavioral, and more than likely it isn't. What it is the academics start to show up first, then it translates into the behavioral. And usually that's because there's some instability at home. Now, whether that's based on emotional, physical, or financial need, usually it's one of those three things that starts to fall apart, and then that kid is affected. That's why Child Protective Services will go in there and remove that child, because they say the conditions in that home isn't conducive for that child to learn. It's not that the child is being mistreated or neglected, it's just the circumstances. And sometimes you get a parent that isn't capable of dealing with all the circumstances that home has presented, and that's where that child's affected.
So there's a lot of good comments going on. Claire said, get the parents that smoking crack or meth to come to the school or pay attention to their kids' lesson, like they're like helping them with their homework. Marcia said, David, if our mayor wouldn't be so arrogant and try to address the issues of gun violence with a different approach, just maybe he would get more Baltimore residents to get involved. If some of these parents were held accountable for their children, they would get a better handle on their actions. Naomi said, I think the schools have a lot of influence. Elementary kids spend more time with their teachers than with parents.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, and that's true. The elementary, they get to build a bond with their particular teacher. Then when you get to the middle school level, you're in like 7 or 8 different classes, so you don't have that necessarily attention that you would get in elementary where you coddled and they have their 25, 30 kids and they become close. In middle school, it's a little more independence, and you have your favorite teachers, but they have a couple hundred kids themselves on their pretty much on their load. So, but you always have the few that still gravitate towards certain teachers, and they kind of as we people don't like to hear it, but they're like their favorites. Or as back in the days, they're like teachers' pets or something. Shaughnessy, what's going on?
Hey, hey, hey.
What's going on?
Nothing much, nothing much. I had to join. I got a small clip of what you guys were saying about, everything being at home. Herb, I've never heard, and I'm not saying it's not true, but I would like to know more about it. Kids can get removed from homes for their lack of learning or because they're not
Absolutely.
learning.
In New York
Okay.
State, if there's let's start with attendance. If you have a child that's
Oh
not
yeah,
attending,
absolutely.
if you have it, and that impacts the learning because let's take a child with a 50% attendance rate, and let's just start with the first marking period. If you have a child that is only attending school at that particular clip, by the time they get to the 30-week marking period, they are in no position to pass that grade. When I was doing the academic program that we had here in Niagara Falls, we'd have parents that would bring their children to us at the beginning of the 40-week marking period, and we would tell them it's too late. And they couldn't understand why. They said, why? We still have 10 weeks left. Yes, but your child, especially as they advance in school, your child has to be able to make up the 30 weeks prior in order to even have a shot at doing reasonably well, never mind passing. And that's why I was making the statement with um, getting the parents to school. Because if you get the parents to school, then that child is much more likely to attend as well. And if you can get the child there, um, uh, every metric is shown that the child has an increased ability to pass. And the reason why I use Niagara Falls is twofold. One, obviously because I live here, and because I'm more familiar with the problems that this district has. I can't speak to any other district in Western New York or in New York State. And I think New York State has 99 districts. So if you start there, then you start to eliminate the need for a lot of programs. And if you can eliminate the need for the programs, what you can do is you can take that money and you can put it into different programs, which is one of the things that I was suggesting when I ran. It's not, see, but what we get into the mindset of thinking is that we're trying to blame the parents, when in actuality, what we're trying to do is isolate the problem. And it just so happens that the vast majority of issues that a student has are found in the
Starts at
home.
home. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if it starts at home and you can get, let's look at it like this. When I ran for school board, I said a student has three spheres of influence: home, school, and community. If any one of those things is failing a student, that student has an increased risk of failure. Doesn't matter what the socioeconomic situation is. Those are the three pillars. Home is critical because when that student leaves, yes, they'll spend some time in their environment, especially in the summer. But if they go home, they can't get academic help. They're hungry. They're going to have a difficult time focusing in school. This is why, at least in Niagara Falls, No kid pays for lunch. Doesn't matter what their socioeconomic status is. They also give them breakfast. And I'm not saying the breakfast is the most nutritious, but they get something. So their day gets started off on a better foot. The hope is that not only will these kids come to school, they'll be ready to learn. And if you're ready to learn, then you can be taught. Some of these kids just aren't ready to be taught. And like I said, I've seen it in the seventh and eighth grade. I've seen a little bit in the high school, and these kids come to school, they're rambunctious, they're not well behaved. There's a myriad of reasons that why these kids don't learn. And like I said, if it starts to permeate itself in the seventh and eighth grades, by the time they get to ninth, they don't have a shot.
Well, like I always said, one of the things they need to do is look at the curriculum
Yeah,
and change it up. Whatever it's time for them to learn, unfortunately, different things that they're connected with. I mean, you you can teach them all the stuff that we learned, but most of us don't remember any of that crap anyway. So you got to start teaching something that they're interested in, or like math and science and stuff like that. Those are like universal stuff that math is math, pretty much. I mean, other than when they had the Common Core to try to change up the way it was taught, but it's still math is math. Science, some of the science facts, but even some of that stuff changed with research and stuff over time.
right.
Um, but like the history and some of the stuff that they read do for English and stuff like that, kids probably would write better if it's something that they feel a connection to, and they can connect and they can put their thoughts. Of course, it's probably going to have grammatical errors, like many of us still do, but you're going to have more of opportunity. Like, damn, I actually got something out of. They actually did this assignment because it was connected to them. Um, but when you have no connection, they're like, "Man, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that," or they just fall behind.
And you know what? To that day, especially you live in a city that's actually both of us do. And I think if more people stepped outside of the classroom and they looked at the world. And Dr. I'm sorry, not Dr. What is the scientist? His name is bouncing around in my head and I can't recall. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. The world in and of itself is a classroom. You can teach even from the youngest age, 6, 7, 8. You can teach science, math, history, English. When we were in grade school, we used to take field trips. Niagara Falls is a wash in history, just like Baltimore. Niagara Falls, you have the Underground Railroad. You have science in here with this area, especially with the Power Vista, about 3 or 4 miles from where I live. You want to teach these kids about history. You want to teach them about math. You want to teach them about engineering. You want any subject that you want to teach these kids about. The world allows you to do it if people understand why it's important.
Right.
His,
I do agree. They should. I agree with that. I think two things. One, the same way there's an obligation to feed your children and provide shelter for your children, I do think there should be an obligation to educate your children. If your children are not operating on a certain level, we have to start looking at you. And not because, again, like you said, it's the parents' fault, but what have you done to better this situation? What have you done to get them on grade level? Um, and they should be in attendance. It should be obligatory for parents to participate in school activities, participate in certain back to school nights, and in that way, I get it. People work or whatever, stagger it, have different ways of appointments. I know there's Maybe they have 2 sessions. Well, maybe have three. Have one in the daytime when you do your professional development day. You have a day that parents can come in as well. But I do think the parents' presence will, or obligating the parents to have presence within the school will definitely do a lot different because a lot of parents, I can say, don't know that their child are even behaving in that
Hmm.
manner.
Yeah, and
Because
that
I
you know
get the
what?
opposite when I go to my when it comes to Layla and her being in school, they're like, "Oh my gosh, she talks this much," and I'm like, "Wait, she doesn't talk here," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's so quiet, she's so," and I'm like, "Oh look, it's a blessing. Count it as a blessing. Count it as a blessing. Don't ask for nothing more. I'm telling y'all." And and when she gets home, that little girl shows off. She don't have no do right in her, but at least she participates and behaves in school. But those things, I would never know if I wasn't present at schools or I didn't go to schools and participate in things in that manner.
I want to address a comment that John from America said. We should let everyone have their own skill sets. We are allowed to improve upon it in the schools, just what they want us to learn. Pointless facts. There's a particular problem with that stance, at least from the American educational standpoint. They want kids to come out in some way, shape, or form congruent so they can go into the workforce. It's not your comment's not necessarily good, it's not necessarily bad. What it is if you allow people to start educating their kids in one particular way, there is no uniformity. This is why a lot of parents that are capable homeschool, but those parents that homeschool understand the need at some particular point in time for those kids to be able to fit into society, even if they want to operate outside of society in a given aspect. Because there are people that do in this country, they operate with their own sense of community, but they can function in the larger society, which is all school is really trying to get people to do. It's like BGS always calls it, and this is something I have to look into. It's called the Prussian school system. And the Prussian school system was just designed to get people to operate together. Because when you start to look at this country's foundations up until its present day, this country is becoming more and more diverse as we speak. This is why immigration becomes an issue. This is why um, the way people are taught, cultures, they're trying to get everybody amalgamated to be under one accord.
Let-
If Go ahead, Dave.
Something that John from America said, then also Naomi said about magnet schools and stuff. But for John, I can almost envision that. Okay, not every school is a magnet school, but if you had certain career paths at each different school, and those kids were allowed to say, "Okay, I'm going to learn this curriculum, and it's based on being this profession, and these are the courses I'm going to take for 4 years." And each school has whatever the going professions are during that time, and each school has a track for that, and that's what they learn. I bet you you'll get a different response, uh, because they'll see the end goal.
Mhm.
Uh, just
Yeah,
like
like how as adults, a lot of times I know you guys have probably seen them. You take these adapted tests, and based on your answers to questions and your interests, it will tell you and gives you a list of career fields that you, based on your personality and how you are, where you would thrive. I think that those kind of adapted tests and questionnaires should happen throughout middle school and especially high school to kind of point children in a direction because you don't always know exactly what you want to do or where you want to be in middle school or high school, but there should be some guidance in that.
see the thing with that is, and, they take those inventories. The thing about that, Shaughnessy, is that some of them are so long, and when we most of the time, we spend most of the time just getting them logged on.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot my password. I don't know. And you're going through all that. And then by that time, when they click on and they see, Mr. Glover, this 80 some questions. Oh my God. So they're just clicking on stuff. They just
But it's
start
the
clicking on.
same 80 questions that you have to take for these state mandated tests
Yeah,
that tells you whether the teacher did good or not.
this is true. But many of them, like some of them, a small percentage are all in it. They look forward to their results and they like, oh, this is dead on, like this is that. But for many of them, they're just clicking, and then you say, oh, this is what you want. Oh, this is your results. This is what you want to do. I was just clicking on anything. I was just trying to get through it because you said we
Yeah.
had to have that
You,
done, so I just clicked on anything.
you know what it reminds me of, Dave, and I'm sure you'll remember this. Shaughnessy, you may not because I think they eliminated. Well, let me not say that. Remember the CTBS test we used to have to take?
Yeah,
Same thing. We didn't necessarily understand. We didn't necessarily understood why we had to take those tests, just that we had to take them, and we wanted to get through them. So there were a lot of kids who would just bubble and answer sometimes on the sheets just to make patterns. That kind of, I would say, mindset is imprinted in a lot of these kids because they don't understand the reasoning and the rationale behind having to take these tests. And there's no way that you can hope to explain to kids at a certain age something so complex.
I think
So from
that's
that,
we're we're in a good place or in a progressive place now where we can do that because we have kids that will sit there and make an Instagram and a TikTok account. You have to go through passwords and emails and things like that. So just like you said, they'll give you all of this grief and all of this hard thing about I don't remember my password, I don't understand my password, etc., etc. You remember the password to Instagram, you remember your password to TikTok, you remember your password to what you need to, so there's no excuse for that. It's just getting,
no, no,
kind of building that mindset, so to speak, so that they get there.
and that was helpful also with some of it. And I know most people wouldn't want to do it with some of those tests. If the or surveys or whatever, if the teacher went question by question, and sometimes that makes kids connect the dots and say, oh, okay, uh, it might take a while. But see, that's the problem too. When we were back in school, it wasn't no rush to get through a concept.
right?
Everything is, I got to get this done by such and such time, and not knowing that your class don't half of your class don't even know what's going on,
Yeah,
but you have to cover this topic by this date where we just learned. We just and we was you would stay on that same concept until you got it. Now is much different. But I think sometimes even when I do surveys, if I go question by question and then give some examples, they tend to they'll respond better. But when they do it independently, like Herb said, you're just bubbling in, you're doodling on paper, or you're putting I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't care. You'll be surprised the stuff that they turn in, and you're like, wow.
yeah. It reminds me of I had peeked into I think it was a history class. Bless her soul, Mrs. Klingersmith. She because I had when I first started mentor, people thought I was a spy for the school board, and we used to try and tell them, look, I'm just a liaison here, to help with the kids, to get information from the teachers out to the greater society as to the problems that you guys face. Use me as a tool. And when I finally got beyond that, I was able to make some headway into some of the students in their way of thinking. And pardon me, my eyes are watering. So I was in Mrs. Klingersmith's class, and she taught history. And I'm sitting and I'm listening to just the kids' response to her telling certain things. And I said, Mrs. Klingersmith, I said, give me a moment. Can I do something? She said, sure, by all means. I said, how many guys see the relevance of history? Nobody raised their hand. Not a student. And I asked one of the students, I said, why? Why do you think there's nothing here that benefits you? She said, because it isn't. We're just learning about old stuff that happened years ago that would never benefit us. And it shocked me, mainly because I love history, but I also realized that I find a need and an interest for it. So I said, okay, fair enough. I said, how many of you own one of these? Cell phone. Of course. All their hands shot up. I said, all right, fine. I said, that's where we'll start. I said, at the end of the year, said every Tuesday, because I would go Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I said, every Tuesday I come here, I'm going to ask a question. I said, the individual with the most correct questions at the end, I will buy them a yearbook. 60 some odd dollars, but it was a goal that they had to shoot for. Now, the reason why I used the cell phone was this. I said, how many inventions and discoveries went into the device that you currently hold? I said, now understand something. I said, do not share what you find with any of your classmates. And they said, why? I said, because you're in competition with them. This is one of the ways you get them to understand the job market, the global job market, and what it means to have some information, even if you don't think the information is going to benefit you at that particular point in time. Because with a cell phone, think of all the inventions that go into having a cell phone: glass, plastic, rubber, metal, electronics, engineering, circuitry, all of that stuff goes into a cell phone. And once you start to peel back the layer of one thing, guess what that does? It leads to something else. They're going down the rabbit hole of knowledge and they don't even know it. But like you said, Shaughnessy, there has to be something at the end of that for them to pursue. With TikTok, the gratification is immediate. They find something that makes them laugh. They find something they like. They find something that they can align themselves with. And I think, and Claire said it too, and I think the curriculum needs to be looked at so it's something that the kids enjoy. Because if you're more than likely to do something and take more of an interest in something if it's something that you like. Now, I'm not saying education has to be all fun. There's going to be some points at education where you're going to have to get through some dry material. It is what it is. English is one of those things. It's hard to make English fun. That's why I hated the fact that it was I can't remember what it wasn't an educational act. It was something to do with the way television programming was done after school. Because I know when I came home, it was either you watched after school programming or you watched cartoons. We would sit up there and watch G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Mirror Transformers, all those other things. But we knew we intrinsically understood that there was something that made this happen. How can this fly? How can this do that? So we were interested and we would ask those questions. Nowadays, if you ask kids, how does something fly? They probably couldn't tell you about inertia, draft, lift, all of those things that make a plane fly. They probably couldn't explain to you how an internal combustion engine works, even though they're trying to phase those out. They probably couldn't tell you about magnets and how they work, why they're important. All of the stuff that makes the world function, that's functional education. Never mind balancing the checkbook. That's stuff that 11, 12-year-olds should do. But because you have a lot of these parents that don't work. And when I say the parents, I'm talking about the parents of school-age kids, they don't work. So if they don't work, chances are they're not balancing the checkbook. Chances are they don't have to be to work on time. So now getting to school on time or getting to school at all doesn't mean anything. Why? My mother doesn't work, my father doesn't work, or they work part-time. All of those things that a child needs to be a functional child, those lessons are never taught. You got kids that can't read a ruler. Well, why is it important to read a ruler? It isn't until you need to learn how to cook And then all of a sudden you say, well, what's a half a cup? Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to bake this is long? All of that stuff now as an adult, you say, oh man, I wish I would have paid attention in school. I wish I would have done this. I know I remember taking home ec. I remember learning how to type and learning to do all this stuff. I didn't know then that I needed to know it until I got a chance to use it. Like, case in point, with my garage roof, I had to figure out how much material I needed. Well, length times width times height, area, volume, all of that stuff. People that are in HVAC, people that go into HVAC, they are mathematicians beyond compare because they need to know how much square footage they're going to have to heat. All of this stuff that seems mundane when you get to be 2021 and you want to go into these type of programs, if you don't have the base education, you can forget it. That's why the military is, Shaughnessy, you said, this is why the military does the ASVABs, because it allows them to direct their recruits in certain directions so they're not wasting time. So whatever it is that recruit wants to do, they're right there for it.
One of the things also too, and I always said that I enjoyed when I was growing up, like with teachers when you would get a personal connection with teachers and they would tell stories or certain situations, they would connect the concept to a story. These kids, they're not into that. They kind of look at, why are you talking about that? Was back in the days, whatever. Who that was so long ago, and even though it was long ago for us, and I'm not saying any other students they may not enjoyed it, but I always enjoyed it because I got a connection with the person that was teaching me. So I saw them in a different light, and a lot of it was personal connections and stuff like that. And again, we talk about relationship building, and that's half the battle with teaching. Whatever, when you build relationships with students and they form some type of personal connection with you, they want to work for you. They want to do better. They want to try. They want to look good in your eyes. And some of that is the issue as well.
Just responding to something. Just let me make a clarification, people. When I said the ruler, what I was talking about is how to do weights and measures. If I have a cup of water, how much does that weigh? So if you're in the wild and you need to figure out how much something weighs because you need to make something, you better be good at math. Case in point, if you had to make some home sanitizer and it's 1 part to 9, where do you start? This is why it becomes important to understand certain things. Like case in point, U.S. and third world countries are the only ones to use standardized measuring. Every other country uses the metric system. That's like in the movie Pulp Fiction, when they were talking about when I can't remember Samuel L. Jackson's character in that movie, when he talks about the Royale with cheese. This in John Travolta's character said, they don't call it a quarter pounder. He said, hell no. They have the metric system. They don't know what a quarter pounder is. Case in point, Wendy's years ago, in order to beat out the popularity of the Big Mac, I think it was, no, quarter pounder with cheese, I'm sorry. They started selling hamburgers that were 1/3 of a pound, and it didn't catch on. You know why? Because people thought a quarter pounder was more than 1/3 of a pound. Something so simple where you think 25% is more than 33% is a problem that a lot of people have with basic things. When you take something so minute and you build on it and you build on it and you build on it. By the time you get down the road, you realize, oh my God, how could I have been so dumb? These are some of the concepts that kids don't get. This is why your school district step in and try and make things standardized and uniform. So that type of education, if you will, doesn't become commonplace. Think about it. All the technology and information that we have in this world, and I'm not attacking anyone. How could someone believe the earth is flat? I'm not against conspiracy theories. Chase them, have at them. But there's far too much information for us to believe the world is flat. People think the moon landing was fake. And I often ask those people, I said, you have a cell phone, you depend on modern technology. How do you think they trans information? How do you think they translate information? Jeez, I can't speak tonight. Around the world. A lot of people don't understand what triangulation is and the reason why triangulation is important. All that goes back to the basics of education. All of that does. This is why I'm a proponent of getting kids out into the world. You know, you teach kids about um, science at a very early age. It all happens to a lot of people, especially when you just come back from summer vacations. You see people with their arms and slings of cast. Simple science. You got Newton's three laws. Any object in action and any object, I can't remember. Jeez. Any object in motion remains in motion until acted upon by another object. It's a broken bone. They say, but how? If I take this bat and I swing it at this wood, and you can get the kid a bat. You can set every kid up in the classroom with this, and you can tell them swing that bat at a piece of wood. They'll swing it and they'll break the bat. You say, but why did I do that? Because that represents the inertia, and that bat is your bone. That bat develops energy because it was swung, and because your arm is stationary, it translates that energy into your arm, and because your arm is stationary, it dissipates that energy through your arm, and it breaks. That's the energy being absorbed. Things like that are so commonplace in our society that if we just take a time out to teach that to a kid, they'll understand science without necessarily having been taught science. See, when you make education rigid and flexible and regimented, it turns out to be boring. And nobody wants to be bored. Don't think about it. Think about how many times you have to go to a work seminar. You say, oh, we got to go through this again. Didn't we do this last time? You're no different than a kid in certain circumstances. So if you as an adult don't like that kind of learning, what makes you think a kid is going to like it? So these are the things as adults we have to find a way to reach the kids so the kids can say, okay, you know what? I may not like it, but I understand it. So they'll look forward to, they'll say, hey, Mr. Glover, when's the next field trip? I like the one that we went to. Well, you ask us, hey, what do you want to do? And you say, hey, how many kids want to do this? Raise your hand. How many kids want to do this? Raise your hand. You're teaching them about the elective process. They don't know that, but you're teaching them foundations of how American voting works. But you have to be able to incorporate it in such a way that the basics are there. Because once they get the basics, you can teach them anything you want.
Yeah. I mean, everything sounds good, but then you have to throw into the different personalities and new people joining the class, and a lot of it is classroom management. And like you said, if they're not ready to be taught because of certain distractions, and the teacher's not ready to teach because, well, they may be ready to teach, but they have to deal with a lot of classroom management. By the time that, especially when you get in the middle school to high school, by the time they get settled in, the class over. The class is over by the time you done told 5 to 10 people, like, sit down, put your cell phones away. It's a lot. It's a lot on a day-to-day basis. That's all I gotta say. Every time I go in the classroom and do a lesson, I come and I do it the whole day. I commend teachers for what they do. I'm like, y'all can have this. Y'all can have it. Training. That's why I still believe that teachers should be paid in the top 5 professions. Bar none. I don't care what nobody say. It's draining. Shauna C, what you got to say? See, I done muted out of here, and I was on my way out the door. So when y'all come back, we about to close it out. Everybody knew I was about to get out. I was on my way out. We had a nice conversation about daddy issues and friend zones and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed I missed that one.
Well, we gonna pick it up with the guys with the mommy issues next week.
Uh-oh. Yes, sure.
But we're gonna get some closing comments, and we gonna get out of here because I got some things while I'm still up. I got some things I need to tackle. I might as well get ready for the war zone. Well, hopefully not, but I kind of got a feeling they're gonna be definitely amped up tomorrow. So I got to be on point.
Why? What's tomorrow?
I mean, the break is Tuesday. Then the next day is a half a day. So
Oh, that's right. Thanksgiving.
yeah, they're gonna be wired up. So, any closing comments that you? I know you joined in, Herb, late, but there was a lot of discussion in the chat going on, and
Well,
I
I'll go
already
back.
made my closing comments, so I'm done.
Couple things. And I've always said this, and I'll continue to beat the drum for this. Get involved, especially if you have school-age children. Get involved in at least going to the Board of Education meeting. I'm not saying you necessarily have to be an active participant in them, but go and see what they're talking about. Go and look at any proposed changes in the curriculum. And if you see something that you would like addressed, have somebody speak on your behalf. You don't, because some people aren't good at public speaking. I understand that the nerves get to them, they start to stutter. Me, I'll speak to anybody, anytime, anywhere about anything. But I'm blessed in that particular manner. Some people aren't. But go to your school board meetings, see what the proposed changes are about, see what updates they're making to the curriculum, see what they're trying to bring in. And you never know what ideal you might have that they may not have thought about. And that was something I said, when I ran. I said, look, we're all responsible for the education of our students. Be it that if you don't have any kids, you're not a teacher, whatever the case is, because eventually they're going to be in society with you. All right, so go to your school board meetings, understand what's going on. The second thing, if there's something that you can fix in your neighbor's kids, try. I'm not saying you have to be their mother. I'm not saying you have to be their father. But if you see something, this is the old adage, if you see something, say something. I don't necessarily get along with all my friends, but it's the one thing I will do. If I see a kid potentially doing something that could be harmful, I'll say something to this kid. And I'll risk the wrath of the parent. You know why?
because that kid eventually will say, you know what? He said something to me, so he must care. Because I'll see kids on my block and cars routinely exceed the speed limit. I one night I went out to I can't remember what I did one night. I was out. There was a car coming down the opposite way, no lights on black truck, doing about 45, 50 miles an hour. So I was telling the kids, I said, hey, look, I know y'all want to play, but don't sit at the curb playing. I said, but if a car comes up the street, pardon me, because if a car comes up the street and his brakes fail, you can get hit by that car and killed. I said, the last thing I want to see is any of your parents cry because somebody had an automobile accident. So don't sit at the street corner in the grass. That way you have a chance to get out the way. Stuff like that. I mean, we always take for granted, we gonna live to see the next day. That kid is gonna live to see the next day. We don't know that because sometimes we take things for granted. We don't practice caring. So just practice caring. And with that, as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Shauna, are you back? All right, she's not back. And when you said take things for granted, the quick thought came to my mind was the killings in Virginia University, UVA, with the football players, and then also the young lady that Mexico. You can't take things for granted because certain situations you never expect stuff to happen. We're in a sick world. We're in a sick world and sick times. And for, people just unload and decide, a good day going to DC, watching, what's his name? Emmett, what's his name? Emmett. Well, I can't think of his name. The guy that got killed.
Emmett Till?
Yeah, Emmett Till.
Okay.
I can think of his name. Watch a play and then come back and you're laughing and having a joyous time on the bus, and someone who, obviously that's a red flag. Somebody off to the side, sitting back, and everybody else conversate. And I haven't even followed up on the whole story. I just got bits and pieces, but because some of that stuff I don't even want. It hurts to read that stuff, and it hurts to watch videos and stuff like that. And I'm like, damn, man, like people they was in their joy, they was in their glory, whatever, and you take them out. And the same thing. I couldn't even watch that. I couldn't even watch that video, the clip of the girl in Mexico and all that stuff. I'm like, I couldn't watch it. It's disturbing when you are supposed to be celebrating with people, and they come. It seems like they come up with this plan to just do that stuff, and no one has the wherewithal to say, "Hey, this ain't right.
Yeah,
this is not right." This fuck, like, man, it's bad. And I know back in the days they're like, oh, no snitching, doing this and that. But in this world, people became desensitized to that stuff. Like, oh, it don't bother me. Like, it doesn't impact them. Like, they could sit there and watch it, film it, do whatever, and go about their business. Where we would have had trauma, like, and it would have bothered us. And I just say, we just got to be careful, man. We got to be careful. And I keep saying that. I said it the last couple shows. Of course, this coming up this Friday, Black Friday, and all this stuff. Be careful out there. Shit ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. To go out there and hustle and bustle trying to get this and get. It's not even worth it. Besides, we need to get that shit up anyway. Stop spending our money and wasting all that. We need to get that up anyway, whatever. And let it go. And start doing something else, whatever, because it's waste. You know how much we can build if we just say, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that this year. We ain't doing that. We putting this money away. We going on vacation. We doing something different. Let that shit go. But you know us. We always gotta fall in line.
People think I'm crazy when I say I don't celebrate holidays, man. There's a particular reason behind the madness. But you will not see me out on Black Friday. You won't see me doing Christmas shopping. People that are around me know. Sorry, Christmas does not exist for me. I love the music, love the pageantry, love the snow, but I ain't spending no dough.
And I just say for that point, just be careful. Just be careful out there. Again, ladies and men. Ladies, yeah, I know y'all are like, oh, I got to get out here. I got to get this last minute gift, whatever. Be careful. Be careful. They're gonna be out there, especially, and we know it gets darker around, I don't know, 5:30, 5 o'clock, whatever. And a lot of times people don't get off work to that time, and you might decide, oh, I seen this here, I got to run here. Just be careful. That's the only thing I can say. Be careful during
And,
these times.
and to that, people, having worked security in a couple places, if you are going out shopping, especially for the women that might be going out by themselves, two things I want you to remember. If you do not have any pepper spray, and if it's legal in your state, go buy some. Like David said, now with the advent of daylight savings time being over, it's dark. Have one hand always free with the pepper spray in your hand. Why? Because it gives you an advantage. If somebody comes up behind you, I don't care who it is, because nobody should be walking up behind you. Eyes. Spray it in their eyes. Do not try and get into your car. Get away. Okay? Always make sure you have one hand free so you can do that. If you have a car that you can't see inside of it, walk around the car, make sure nothing's been damaged or tampered with. Because you have some people that will try and get into the back seat of your car, and they'll be able to take I don't want to say take you off, but they'll be able to overcome you with physical force. Also, if you have an SUV or any vehicle that does not have a trunk, do not, under any circumstances, leave items in there where they can be viewed by somebody, because all they're going to do is break your window, cause you more havoc, and take your presence. So now you're going to have to file an insurance report, and you're going to be out of your presence. Take those things home or leave those in someplace safe in the mall or wherever it is that you shop until you're done, and then go directly home. Don't stop at another place, like David said, trying to pick up a last minute present or item, because you become a victim. You have to use common sense during this time of season, because this is when episodes and events of robbery increase greatly. All right. So the PSA.
Yeah, that's true. And I was just thinking about leaving items in there or hiding, things. Or I can't bring this in the house to Christmas Eve and all that stuff. And you have trying to make sure they can't get in my car because I got all the stuff in here. If it's visible, people going around, they've been doing this for years, checking doorknobs and all that stuff and trying. Then if they see some, they're going to break it, and they surely going to try to get it. And also be careful with your packages that you send. I know people have rings and all that stuff, and they can see. But shit, it ain't gonna stop you if you at work and they see the items on your damn porch and they run off. Send it somewhere else. I don't know, some jobs they're okay with you mailing stuff to the job. Well, most of the time, just get your stuff. Don't leave it there that is piling up. Whatever, you have to get your items or mail it to sister, brother, house, mother, somewhere, because people gonna be out here. They gonna be grimy. They grimy as hell, whatever. So be mindful of that. And shit, usually it's somebody who's probably been in the neighborhood or lived there, and they kind of scoping things out. And if they see you got packages, getting dropped off every day. They like, shit, they must got something in that house.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a target.
And
Your house
don't
is gonna be a target.
sakes, for goodness sakes, if you're going to decorate a Christmas tree, do not put it in front of a window that faces the front of your house where it can be seen. That lets people know, particularly criminals, that more than likely you're going to have some presents. In other words, if you're going to put up a Christmas tree, bury it somewhere in your house where it can't be seen.
And it's crazy that you have to have these pointers and all of that stuff. But criminals then got wise, and they do their research and they do their homework. And that's why the importance we always say that not everything you do needs to be on social media when you're out posting, oh, we going out of town, and letting people know there's no one gonna be at the house because we're here. The family is here. And meanwhile, okay, we got you. We got you. Y'all gone, but shit, we gonna get up in there.
Yeah.
So you gotta be mindful of so many little things because of social media and how things travel. And got to be conscious, like I said, again, of your neighbors and others. They might not necessarily do anything, but shit, they could have somebody, a criminal cousin, come through there or whatever because they didn't watch the movement. So I know it shouldn't be that way. It's the time to be joyful and all that stuff, but it's
It's funny you say that, man, because I can tell you some stories I've seen of people doing some very, very unsafe things when I was doing security at the casino. And I would tell people, hey, look, don't do that. They say, well, why? I said, because the same way I saw you, somebody else can see you. And all they got to do is pick up a cell phone, give a description, and the next thing you know, you've been robbed.
So that said, people, everybody enjoy your holidays, enjoy family, friends, rest up, be safe, be wise, be well, and just be conscious, be self-awareness, just be aware of your surroundings, and also that goes for, sometimes those big family bashes that you have, and somebody, play. There's always going to be a couple that come through, and Thanksgiving is one of those times where it goes on for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And you're playing cards, and some people gambling and this and that. Somebody get mad. The next day, violence breaks out, and it's a whole fight. Again, I don't want to damper it, but I just want to put that stuff out there so you could be wise and say, oh, his drunk ass ain't coming over here this year. He ain't getting no invite, because you're always going to have some people like that. And unfortunately, you see it too often, especially, again, like on social media. Too many of these scenarios or situations is played out, and you're like, wow, on Thanksgiving they did this where it all went wrong behind a card game, and oh, I'm not paying you because you owed me $50 from a couple years ago, so that's my money. Yeah, we live in some wild times, but
buddy.
again, to lighten up the situation, everybody have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. Just be mindful. And, but in the counselor's corner, we're gonna try to make you think also as well. To leave you with a food for thought, and it ain't always gonna be some glorious conversation. It's gonna be something you have to think about. Like, yeah, he right. They were right. They were right. And y'all can come back and report. Yep. Remember y'all talked about that? Well, I let my drunk uncle came over and he cut a damn fool. Now you know. But and I'm serious with all that conversation too. But everybody definitely be safe, relax, enjoy yourself, take the time to reflect, and just come with peace with yourself during that time. Have peace within yourself, and don't let anybody try to steal your joy, whatever, because you know, these last couple of years we've been through hell and back. And,
It's
we
been a
still
tough
still
set.
going through it. So that's all. And we out, and see you next week. And still gonna be posting in the counselor's corner and stuff like that. So see y'all, and again, be well, everybody.
Yeah,
We
take
out.
care.
Peace.